Hello my dear students, welcome back to my channel. In this session, I would like to discuss about chromosomal theory of inheritance. So, one of my student asked to discuss this. Of course, little long back, I'm very sorry. I could not come back due to many other, say, engagements or many other type of work or I was busy. So, I would like to, in this session, I would like to discuss chromosomal theory of inheritance. I hope the student who asked is trying to watch this. You have to watch it and try to understand. If you still have any doubts, you can definitely give it in the comment box. I will be checking that and I will try to clarify in my next video. So, and please share my videos and links to maximum number of your friends so that it will be helpful to many of the students. And I hope I'm reaching all the students and I want to reach maximum number of students. So please do share the videos and share also the link and ask all your friends to subscribe the channel. So thank you very much for listening. So let us now come to the topic chromosomal theory of inheritance. So here first we would start with Mendel's period. During Mendel's study was done between 1856 to 1863 and in 1864 he published his work. He published, I think sometime in 1865 he published his work. But his work was not noticed. The work went unnoticed up to about 1900. And only after the rediscovery of Mendel's laws, his work was noticed and he was given a Nobel Prize. But by that time he was no more. Mendel died in the year 1884. He died in the year 1884. So only after 1900, when his work was rediscovered, he was given the Nobel Prize. So here first we would like to start with why Mendel's work was unnoticed or what was his faults. So first fault is communication. Proper communication was not present. No proper communication. He could not publish his work properly and there was no proper communication. So since there is a lack of communication, his work was not noticed by many. Then second reason why his work was not recognized is his concept of genes, or he called them as factors. He called these genes or factors as discrete units. Discrete means they are individual units. They are discrete units. And if both alleles are present, both alleles you can understand a dominant allele and a recessive allele. If both alleles are present, both alleles we find in heterozygous condition. If both alleles are present, according to Mendel, there was no blending of characters. Blending means there was no mixing of characters. But this was not accepted by many. This was not accepted by many. This blending, this was not accepted. This was not accepted by many because blending or mixing of two alleles was also observed later. And that is what later it was named as incomplete dominance. So this particular concept also was not explained, not accepted by many. Then next another his drawback is his mathematical approach. His mathematical approach and statistical approach was also not understood by many. So therefore, many could not recognize his work, and he could not provide any physical proof or experimental evidence. He could not provide physical proof or experimental evidence for his work. So because of all these reasons, we can give them as the drawbacks of Mendel's work. These are the drawbacks of Mendel's work. So because of this, his work was not identified. So in 1900, three scientists individually. The three scientists are Hugo de Vries, Karl Correns, and von Schermark. These three scientists independently, that means separately, they worked, and then they rediscovered the Mendel's laws. So therefore these three scientists are called as rediscoverers of Mendel's laws. These three scientists, they are called rediscoverers of Mendel's laws. So only after the rediscovery, he was given the Nobel Prize for his work. And later, when microscope was invented and there was more advancement in microscopy, then the chromosomes were studied. It was found that there are some structures after microscopy, that means after microscopes were invented, the scientists found some structures are found in the nucleus. Some structures are found in the nucleus which double and divide. Some structures which are found in the nucleus, they double and divide during cell division. These statements I am directly using from the textbook. Children, textbook reading is very important for NEET exam. So any lesson, once you understand, you have to go through the statements of textbook also. So the structures they found in the nucleus were double and they divide during cell division. And these structures were named as chromosomes. Later they were called as chromosomes. That means there is a doubling of chromosomes taking place and also distribution of or division of chromosomes during cell division. And along with that, they also found that there are some factors which are also getting separated. Some factors also are getting separated. So this study was given by these two scientists called Sutton and Boveri. So Sutton and Boveri observed that their observation during cell division. So all these studies were made during cell division. So Sutton and Boveri study was in 1902. So in 1902, Sutton and Boveri noted that behavior of chromosomes. They noted that behavior of chromosomes was parallel to the behavior of genes. Behavior of chromosomes was parallel to behavior of genes. The meaning is, if there is a separation of chromosomes, along with that there is also the separation of genes taking place. Both were behaving in the same manner, and this they observed during chromosome movement in cell division. They observed this particular behavior of chromosomes. That means both chromosomes and genes, they were getting separated together. So based on the studies of cell division, Sutton and Boveri, based on studies of cell division, Sutton and Boveri, they proposed chromosomal theory of inheritance. They proposed chromosomal theory of inheritance. Chromosomal theory of inheritance based on the studies of cell division. So, according to them, they used the knowledge of Mendel's knowledge of segregation. They used the Mendel's knowledge of segregation. They united knowledge of chromosomal segregation with Mendel's principle. So how did they propose chromosomal theory of inheritance? Is they used the concept of or knowledge of chromosomal segregation during cell division. Chromosomal segregation. Segregation means separation. Segregation during cell division, and also Mendel's principles. Mendel's principles is Mendel proposed the law of segregation, but actually he did not know what actually segregating. He simply called them as factors. So Sutton and Boveri, once they studied cell division, they could identify that there are some structures present in the chromosomes which are getting separated along with the chromosomes during cell division or during chromosomal movement. So he combined these two concepts, that is segregation of chromosomes and Mendel's law of segregation, Mendel's principles, and then both together proposed the theory called as chromosomal theory of inheritance. So chromosomal theory of inheritance is mainly related to cell division. Only after understanding cell division, Sutton and Boveri could propose this theory. So here in the textbook, there are two diagrams given. Children, it is very important to understand the two diagrams to understand what is the segregation and what is the chromosomal theory of inheritance. So here I would like to give the first diagram which is given in the textbook. You should also refer to textbook to understand this while you are studying. So here I am showing the diagrams, and based on that we will discuss. So first diagram. In the first diagram we find this explains segregation of chromosomes during cell division. Mainly during meiosis. So here we can find first in G1, here two pairs of chromosomes are taken. A and B, I have written as A and B, which forms one pair. C and D will form another pair. So in G1 phase, here you should know the cell division also. I have prepared another video on cell cycle and cell division. So you should refer to that. So in G1 phase, that is before S phase, the chromosomes will have only one chromatid and one DNA. So here A and B forming one pair, C and D forming another pair. In G2 phase, which comes after S phase, there is the DNA duplication, DNA synthesis. So each chromosome now is having two chromatids. Chromosome is same, A and B and C and D. In metaphase 1, we find there is separation of these chromosomes. This is one homologous pair, A and B. C and D is another pair. So there is separation of homologous pair. There is actually alignment at the center. Later, the separation takes place during anaphase 1. So these chromosomes, these homologous pair will separate towards the opposite poles. So we can find here each pole is receiving A and C, B and D. A and B are one pair, C and D another pair. These pairs are getting separated, or these bivalents are getting separated. So here we can write it clearly as bivalent separation. So when bivalents are getting separated, you should know here what is the location of any particular gene. What is the location of the gene? Suppose we try to understand in terms of location of gene. these two are two pairs. You know, if a gene, capital G, say gene is present here, its allele will be present in the other pair. Two chromatids are going to have the same gene. So capital G we will write. And similarly here on B chromosome we are going to write small g, small g. So here when we are taking separation of chromosome, we can find G is getting separated here, capital G, small g. So what are we finding here? Along with separation of chromosomes, there is separation of alleles also. That is what is together, it is described as chromosomal theory of inheritance. So position of alleles, I feel all of you know it. The children, students, those who are watching this. Once again, if I have to give you, if this is the homologous pair, if there is a capital G here, exactly in the same position, there will be small g. That means there is a dominant allele and recessive allele. Same thing I have shown here to understand the segregation of genes also. Now, after anaphase 1, in metaphase 2, we should find two spindle apparati. So, these are arranged at metaphase. Metaphase, actually, we find the chromosomes, two chromosomes here. This is going to form, this is in one metaphase plate, this is in another metaphase plate. Because at the end of meiosis 1, two nuclei are formed. So, these are the two nuclei. Anaphase 2, we find separation of chromatid. The same chromatid will get separated during anaphase. Same thing with B and D also. And at the end of telophase 2, germ cells are formed. Germ cells means reproductive cells, gametes. Each gamete is having the two chromosomes, but each chromosome with one chromatid only. So one chromosome, so suppose we have to write the alleles here. This is A and A. A and A we have given as capital G, capital G. B will have small g, small g. So there is a segregation of alleles also. That's how this can be called as a segregation of chromosomes. Along with segregation of chromosomes, there is segregation of alleles also. So I hope this is clear. You have to also, if you have not followed, once again you please watch the video so that you will be able to follow. And practice the diagram. Here practicing is very, very important, my dear students. Not just listening. You have to practice all the diagrams. Then you will be able to remember it very well. This is one diagram. Now, in the second diagram, which is given in the textbook, we will find the independent assortment. Law of independent assortment is shown. There are two possibilities shown here. Law of independent assortment. What is law of independent assortment? How can you define law of independent assortment and how are you going to write it? I hope you remember the law of independent assortment. Law of independent assortment, for briefly I am going to explain. Of course, I will discuss in detail later. So, independent assortment is considered, it is defined by taking two characters. Any two characters like round shape of the seeds, yellow color of the cotyledons. Suppose any two characters are taken in pea plant. So these two characters will be able to segregate independently. They do not depend on each other. They will not segregate together or they will not be separated together. They may get separated during formation of gametes. They will not be inherited together. That is what is called as independent assortment. Any two characters will be separated independently. They may not be inherited together. That is what we call it as independent assortment. This is explained by using dihybrid cross. This is explained by using dihybrid cross. So this again, once again, another session we will discuss. So for here, you should know what is the independent assortment. Now, by using independent assortment, how this inheritance was explained. There are two possibilities. So first we will see first possibility, what is it? So here the two pairs are A and B chromosome form one pair of homologous chromosome, C and D form another pair. So as given in that, colors I have shown. This is orange, blue and green and red. So A and B, I have also given letters. So that is more convenient for you to understand. A and B will form one homologous pair. C and D will form another homologous pair. So A and B, since they form one pair, we will write it here the same way we will write the alleles here. Let us write here capital T. So here it will be small t. On the other pair of chromosomes, let us write capital R. Here it will be small r. Let us try to understand now. So next, anaphase 2, what do we find? These are getting separated during anaphase. Say anaphase 1. This should be anaphase 1 and anaphase 1. So anaphase 2, there will be separation of chromatids. Chromatid separation. Here we can see A and C are aligned together. This is the equator. This is the equator. So we can find C and D forming one pair and they are arranged. C is along with A. A and C are together. Similarly, B and D are together on one side of the equator. But pairing is these two. C and D is one pair. You know how during meiosis the bivalents are arranged. That you have to refer to meiosis. To understand this, students, first you have to revise meiosis and then you will be able to understand this. So now these bivalents are getting separated. So A and C should move to one pole. This is what they have shown, A and C one pole. B and D to the another pole. So I have written capital T, capital R here. So we will get here capital T, capital R. Here small t, small r. No, here also so capital T, capital R. There is a separation of chromatids. On this we are going to get small t, here also small t. Here we are going to get smaller, small r. So same thing again when they form the 4 germ cells. Here we are going to get capital T, capital R. Here also capital T, capital R. Here we are going to get small t, small r, small t, small r. This is one combination. We are going to get this. There is other combination possible due to independent assortment. Another combination is possible. What is the second possible combination? Here we have shown C and D. So their places can exchange. D can come on this side along with A. C can come along with B. Here C is along with A. D is along with B. So their positions can be interchanged. Similarly, it can happen with this also. Of course, one at a time. If we change both, we are going to get the same combination. So here, second possibility, we have shown this D comes here. So it is along with A. So what did we write? Capital T here for A. And for D, we have written small r. For B, we have written small t. For C, we have written capital R. So here the combination will change. So here A, capital T, here we are getting small r. Here A, same, capital T, small r. Here we are getting small t, capital R. Small t, capital R. So this is how the combination can change. So even once the germ cells are formed, the same combination we are going to get. So capital T, small r here, capital T and small r. Here we are getting small t, capital R, and small t, capital R. So in these different combinations we can get. So we'll get parental combinations as such, and we are also going to get the recombinants. So there will be recombinants, these are recombinants, and we are going to get parental combinations also. So finally, actually, in such combinations, when we are trying to write the gametes formed, when independent assortment occurs, in such condition, we can write 4 types of gametes. So what are the combinations we can write with 4 types of gametes? One, capital T, capital R. Another one we will write small t, small r. These are parental combination. Parental combination. Recombinants. Recombinants we can write capital T, small r is one recombinant. Small t, capital R. This is another recombinant we are going to get. So this is the result. This is due to independent assortment. So this type of alignment of chromosomes or arrangement of chromosomes during the metaphase mainly. So once again I will just, you can scroll through it, whatever are the diagrams. Once again just go through it and then try to understand. So this is what is explained in the diagrams given in textbook. Okay. Now let us see the next part of the topic, that is experimental verification, and there is one table given showing comparing chromosomes and genes. So they have designated as A and B. You have to find out which is chromosome, which is gene. So A we will write it as chromosome. It is written as chromosome. B can be given as gene. So what are those 3 comparisons given? First comparison, both occur in pair. Chromosomes occur in pair. Similarly, gene also it occurs in pairs. A pair of allele forms the gene. A pair of allele will form the gene. Now the second, both separate during cell division. Chromosomes will separate and also they separate during cell division. Both separate. That means segregation occurs in both. They separate during cell division and they enter into gamete. Both separate and enter into gamete in both the cases. Now the third point which differentiates a chromosome and a gene. Third point is independent pairs segregate independently of each other. What is the statement given? Independent pairs segregate independently of each other. Independently of each other. That means a pair of homologous chromosomes will segregate independently, just like we have just seen in the diagram. Their alignment can be different on the 2 sides of equator and thus they can segregate independently. Similarly, here also, here the statement changes as one pair segregate independent of the other pair. One pair segregate independent of the other. Independent of the other. Here one pair means a pair of alleles. Here one pair indicate a pair of alleles. So by this third point we can differentiate between chromosome and the gene. So the table is important for the statement type of questions which you can get. Okay, now the last part of the topic which says the experimental verification of this theory, chromosomal theory of inheritance. What is the experimental proof or verification for chromosomal theory of inheritance? The experimental proof was given by T.H. Morgan, Thomas Hunt Morgan, T.H. Morgan, by conducting the experiments on Drosophila. Drosophila is commonly called as fruit fly. Commonly called as fruit fly. It is also has a very interesting nickname. It is also called as Cinderella of genetics. It is also called as Cinderella of genetics. That means it is a very, very important organism in the study of genetics. So it is also called Cinderella of genetics. So why Drosophila was chosen? Why it is suitable for experiments? There are some reasons why Drosophila is taken. So reasons. First one, it can be easily cultured. Drosophila can be easily cultured in laboratories by using simple medium, simple synthetic medium. By just using simple synthetic medium, Drosophila can easily be cultured. The next is their lifespan is very less. Lifespan is only about 2 weeks. So within 2 weeks we can get the next progeny. So large number of progeny can be obtained. Large number of progeny can be obtained. This large number of progeny is very important for any genetic studies. Genetic studies are done on population. So observing the large number of population is very important for any study in genetics. And there is very clear differentiation between male and female. Females are generally larger compared to males. Males are smaller and females are larger. And lastly, there are many variations. Variations can be observed. There are many variations can be observed in Drosophila. That means many mutations are present with respect to either body color or eye color or wing size, and so many mutations are observed. So therefore it makes the best organism for the study of genetics, and it can be also observed under just low power microscope. It can be just observed under low power microscope. So with all these advantages, the study on Drosophila becomes very easy. So Thomas Hunt Morgan, they studied the similar experiments in Drosophila and gave an experimental proof to understand what is chromosomal theory of inheritance. So with this, I complete this topic, my dear children. So follow it carefully, read it number of times. You will be definitely be able to follow. Only one trick here to understand is first be thorough with meiosis. If you are thorough with meiosis, this is very, very easy to understand. But it is very important chapter for NEET point of view. Every time, every year, at least one question comes from this topic. So it is very, very important for NEET point of view. So first, before understanding this, thoroughly revise meiosis also. So that's all for now, children. I conclude my topic here. So thank you for listening, and please subscribe, share, and help each other so that it will be useful for all of you. It should reach nook and corner of all the students, all the places who are studying biology. That is what is my intention. I hope you understand, and please fulfill my intention. Thank you very much, children. Have a good day.